facilities to acquire the ammonium nitrate that was required, because let's just break down that ammonium nitrate cannot be sold in loose amount in this huge amount. Ideally, if you want to buy in a lesser quantity, anything below 5 kgs, you would need a license that you're a farmer, and that's the reason you need the fertilizers, etc. So clearly there was a middleman who was helping them, but to accumulate 2,900 kilos of ammonium nitrate is a big task, and clearly teams were divided and they were doing it for quite some time, and the fact that they managed to do it discreetly, that is something which is very shocking on the part of the investigators, is why we see that these amount of teams are now being found to also track down the source of these ammonium nitrate, because locally, if so easily we see explosive materials being made available, that becomes a huge concern. So even the ones who help them procure this ammonium nitrate, they need to be brought to task, is why we see those multiple teams being formed, to trace the cars, to trace any members missing in the module, and also to trace back the ones who sold this car. And before I go on anything else, Suesha, I want to establish this location, because for every regular Delhiite, this Connaught Place is something that they pass from. This is the heart of the national capital, and at this very stretch, a short while ago, we were showing that CCTV footage. That same CCTV footage of Umarun Nabi was tracked from this very location of the outer circle of the Connaught Place. Imagine that man driving his explosive laden car from a location like Connaught Place. That is a huge question on the security lapse on the part of our Delhi police as well, because if these are the locations where a man can easily move around with a security, breaching security with an explosive laden car, puts a lot of lives on risk. We still don't know that whether CP was actually part of the main plan, but we do know that the main plan was to carry out multiple serial blasts, and the fact that he was seen from Connaught Place, maybe this was also a part of that initial plan by the terror module.
Oh yes, absolutely horrifying to imagine what could have happened and what could have possibly gone wrong, to the extent to which it could have gone wrong. Shreya, do stay on. More breaking news coming in, as we are now learning. Yes, like I said, we are now learning that the death toll has gone up to 13 in the Delhi blast. Yesterday, we showed you those pictures. Prime Minister Narendra Modi had also met with the injured, with the survivors of the Delhi blast at the LNJP hospital. Some who were recovering well, but some who were also in a critical condition. And in the latest, the confirmed number of casualties are now 13. 13 people who lost their lives in the Delhi blast. I'd also like to bring in my colleague Shreya, who continues to stay with us on the broadcast. But before that, more details that are trickling in, and we'll all take this to Shreya, as another CCTV footage that has come to light on India Today. On camera, where it was seen how Dr. Umar was wrecking Connaught Place. We were just talking about that. This was the outer circle of Connaught Place. The bomber, Umar, who was in that I-20 that is laden with explosives. He was seen driving that car packed with explosives in the outer circle of Connaught Place, which is the heart of Delhi. He was seen driving this I-20, and that too in the middle of the road at 10:05 a.m. on the Connaught Place outer circle. Remember, Parliament House is just 3 kilometers from Connaught Place. I want to go back to Shreya on both these things that we just told our viewers. Unfortunate, the death toll that has further mounted to 13, now 13 lives lost in the Delhi blast. And of course, how these terrorists were looking for other high-profile targets. Prominent locations in the national capital, such that the impact would be much stronger, and a very high possibility, Shreya, like we've been discussing, that CP could have been one of them, could not have been one of them. But the fact that this car was comfortably moving at this hour of the day, laden with explosives, went unmissed. I beg your pardon.
Well, Suesha, as I talk about this, as a Delhiite who probably visits the Connaught Place every second day, it's very difficult to sink in that this is the road that was used by that terrorist before he went to Red Fort, where he detonated that I-20 car. We're getting you that visual, establishing the outer circle of the Connaught Place region where that CCTV camera has been captured. This is the same stretch that we have on that CCTV where Umar-un-Nabi can be seen moving with his I-20 car unfazed. The reason we say unfazed, because we also have a glimpse of him where he's walking freely at that masjid at Turkman Gate. No amount of fear on his face. This man was absconding. Even after that, he could move his car from the poshest of location of the national capital. Connaught Place is the heart of Delhi. From here, he was driving unfazed in the afternoon. Once again, I'll ask my cameraman to pan the location. Ankit, if you can show this exact place from where that CCTV was captured. This is the man, Umar-un-Nabi, the terrorist who killed 12 innocent lives detonating an I-20 car, was seen moving at that Connaught Place juncture where I'm standing right now. And then he moved to the Turkman Gate Masjid, Faiz-e-Ilahi Masjid, where we are suspecting that he offered the namaz. That CCTV is even scary because he has no amount of fear on his face. He prays over there for 10-15 minutes. But before that, Suesha, we are also learning that in and around Connaught Place, he's waited for 15 minutes. Where did he go? That is also something that the Delhi police is right now understanding. They are piecing together the CCTV mapping of the Connaught Place region as well, because we are being told that even in Connaught Place, in the vicinity of this area, poshest of location of the national capital, he did spend 15 minutes. Did he meet anyone? Why did he stop for 15 minutes? We will also have that answer very shortly. But this is something which is a big scare factor for the citizens of the national capital.
Oh yes, absolutely, Shreya. Thank you for getting us the latest there as we continue to put out all the latest leads coming in, the investigation intensifying, and most importantly, trying to map where all bomber Umar had gone, which all areas with that I-20. So let's now take you through this map of Delhi, and that is the car, that is the I-20 that Dr. Umar, or Bomber Umar, if I could say that, was driving that car. Now, he was in Faridabad in the Al-Falaha University. He left from there, after which he went to Mewat. Now, he actually reached Firozpur Jhirka via Mewat, and that's where the car finally reached. Now, remember, during all of this, what was happening was that his key accomplice, Muzammil, had been caught by the cops, and a huge amount of explosives that they were in possession of had also been recovered by the cops. Post which, Umar spent the night at a dhaba on the Delhi-Mumbai Expressway. Now, he was probably mulling various options of where he could go, whether he would flee or come back and action a plan that they may have been working on. Umar spent the entire night sleeping in the car at that time, after which he changed his mind. He moved back to Delhi, rather towards Faridabad, via the Delhi-Mumbai highway. So the car went back, it went all the way to Firozpur Jhirka and then went all the way back to Faridabad via the Delhi-Mumbai highway. Now, Umar entered Delhi through the Badarpur border, and then of course we've told you what happened after that, where the car went, of the window between 3 p.m. to 6 p.m. when the car was in the parking, after which he finally took it out near Red Fort is when the attack happened. Now, DNA tests have confirmed that Dr. Umar was the bomber. The latest CCTV image obtained of terrorist Umar that shows his presence at that mosque in Old Delhi, that was at around 2:30 p.m. and he stayed there for over 10 minutes. He was captured entering and then leaving the mosque. Meanwhile, security agencies have recovered the diaries of Dr. Umar and Dr. Muzammil. Sources said that plot had been underway for the past 2 years. The diary was seized from Dr. Umar's room number 4 and Muzammil's room number 13 at the Al-Falaha University campus, building number 17, like we had shown you. Room number 13, building number 17, which was the secret meeting place for all these terrorists. These terrorists who plotted the attack from that room It was the same room where the decision of transportation of certain chemicals was also taken. The forensic team has recovered chemicals and digital data from the same room, and India Today has also decoded Delhi blast terror web. Now, sources have informed India Today that Umar was in touch with a handler, Ukasa. Ukasa was the code name, and this handler was actually based in Turkey's Ankara. The terrorists used Session app to interact with the handler because it is again an encrypted app.
What was Dr. Umar doing before he actually perpetrated that attack and explosion near the Red Gate? Now, the investigations are pointing out to the fact that he visited a masjid in Old Delhi at around 2:30 p.m. before he actually orchestrated this attack. I am outside this very masjid right now. This happens to be at Turkman Gate, just about few meters from Turkman Gate, but on the road way to Red Fort. And he stepped inside the masjid, was here for about 10 minutes, is what the CCTV footages and grabs of these images have shown in the investigation that is being carried out by the Delhi police, the NIA and other agencies. He came here near the Turkman Gate. Let me show you that the road leading to the Red Fort goes from here straight off, and this is a very crowded area as well in the Turkman Gate region, and right in front of it is this particular masjid that has been situated here. And of course, Dr. Umar is also known as one of the most radicalized people in the gang. In fact, he cut off all contacts with others after he found out that Dr. Muzammil from Al Falah University was arrested and the Faridabad module was busted. The fact that the Red Eco Sport was purchased by Dr. Umar, and he was the one who was coordinating and talking to a handler in Turkey. All these details have come forward in Dr. Umar's investigation, and after a DNA test, it has also been ascertained that the person who died within the I-20 car was Dr. Umar. Indeed, his bones had melted because of the impact of the blast and the fusion and the kind of heat it generated. With Lokendra Pandey, Milan Sharma for India Today.
So there you see how more and more information coming in to be able to piece together what had happened on that day, what had happened on the previous day, and why the panic had struck. Because his key aides who were getting caught, he somewhere realized and understood that soon would be his turn, and it was not very far that the cops would get to him also. And that is when Dr. Umar, driving that I-20 across the various locations like we've told. Very good morning once again, and thank you for staying tuned to India Today. I'm Suesha Sawant as we continue to get you more breaking news coming in with the investigation intensifying in the Delhi blast. Delhi police is now hunting for a third car as part of the terror module. Now this car is a Brezza that is still missing. Delhi police is searching for the third car, which is a Brezza, and that search is underway. An explosion that had occurred in a car, one of Umar's cars, that was missing, and the search is on for the one that was found in Faridabad. Now the search is on for the third car. There was a plot to detonate a car bomb. There was a module, but the module was exposed before it could be carried out. Ultimately, Umar succeeded in carrying out the blast. So there was not one, not two, but three cars that are now in the radar. I-20, of course, the original car, the visual of which is on the right of your screens, the one that exploded in the blast, and the one on your left, the Red Eco Sport, where Dr. Umar had given a fake address to have the car register in his name, and he gave the address of a house in northeast Delhi. But that car that has also been taken into custody, it is now in the possession of the police because it had explosives, and this was being used to transport explosives. However, as the investigation now moves a step further, there is a third picture, I beg your pardon, a third angle that is being looked into in terms of the number of cars being used. This is a Brezza that was also used by the terrorists. Let me cut across to Shreya Chatterjee joining us on the phone line with details on this third car, which is allegedly a Brezza that the police is now looking for. Shreya.
Well, yes, this is another car which is linked to Umarun Nabi, the terrorist that blew up the I-20 car. Two cars have already been accounted for. One was which was used in the blast. The second was the eco-spot that was found parked in that Faridabad farmhouse. Now, this is a Maruti Brezza that the hunt is right now on for. This information was there about a Maruti Brezza car, and what we do know that the Delhi police along with the Haryana and UP police are on alert mode.
That car could also be parked somewhere in Faridabad or was moving around there. CCTV footage that is being examined. Do give us details of how the police is now trying to search for this third car.
Well, absolutely. And this third car, why it's important? Because, Shivesha, these are all linked to the terror suspects, and this becomes object of suspicion right now, like the red eco-sport car, because there are information that we have that these cars were used for accumulating and stockpiling the ammonium nitrates that were recovered by the police, and also the fear that probably there was a plan to use multiple cars to devise into IEDs and carry out serial blasts, is why these cars become extremely crucial and object of suspicion. Third, what if there are other members of the module who are still on the run, who probably could have been seen in these cars, is why these cars need to be identified at the earliest. Fortunately, two have been accounted for, but one Brezza is right now still being searched for, and three state polices are on alert mode looking for that car. One, the Delhi police, along with them, the UP and the Haryana police are also on constant mode looking for those cars, is what we've been told.
Shreya, have we been able to get more details on that car in terms of what color it was, what the number plate was, where all that car had moved around? And again, like Dr. Umar had used a fake address to have the red car register in his name. Any more details with regards to this particular Brezza?
Well, some information, Suresha, regarding this car is yet to trickle down, but we've at least been confirmed by the police that this is a Maruti Brezza car. The color of it obviously must be something that we will get some information shortly, but sometimes information are also hold in delay when an operation is under its way. But probably
So another doctor, another link that has emerged to Bomber Umar. The ATS has detained Bomber Umar's classmate. His name is Mohammad Arif. Mohammad Arif had spoken to Umar days before the blast. ATS, STF and Delhi Police's special cell that have detained Dr. Mohammad Arif Mir, a first-year student at Kanpur's Institute of Cardiology. In fact, I correct myself there. This is Delhi's special team that has detained Dr. Mohammad Arif Mir. Sources reveal that Dr. Arif was a classmate of terrorist Umar. Both of them studied together at a medical college in Srinagar. Just days before the Red Fort blast in Delhi, Arif had reportedly spoken to Dr. Umar. Delhi Police's special team that has now taken Dr. Arif to Delhi for interrogation, this according to sources. Exactly the point, Shreya, that Faridabad Chawla to get the place where these terrorists had spread their tentacles, had he may have spoken to Dr. Umar. If there are any places where they knew that their respective cars would be safe. The I-20 that was parked at Al Falah University for 11 days. The red EcoSport again that was seized at a farmhouse in reconnect with Simar. There may be a technical more locations that are on the hunt as far as the cops are concerned. Dr. Arif, where all Mohammad Arif terrorists, a first-year student at Kanpur's Institute of Cardiology, a doctor with them as part of this plan and were helping them. Dr. Umar, both of them studied together at the medical college in Srinagar. And it is now alleged that just days before the Red Fort blast in Delhi, Arif had reportedly spoken to Umar. Now, whether he was also an accomplice or whether it was a conversation that was not related to any of this is something that the police is trying to get to the bottom of, and for that very reason that they've taken him, I beg your pardon, to Delhi for interrogation. Simar Chawla is back with us with further details on Dr. Arif. Over to you.
the NKP fertilizers.
That's a big, information that has come to the fore. Dr. Arif, who has been detained by several agencies, it's a joint operation was with the UPATA, the Delhi Special Team, the STF. They detained him yesterday from his house, and they have what we are learning from our sources that he has been taken to Delhi right now. The questioning will be on the line length that how come there was a communication between him and Umar. What we are being told by agency that there was an information that Dr. Arif was in fact the batchmate of Umar, who was killed in the blast. He was the one, who had several chats with him just days before this very particular, terror attack that has happened. Now, right now, presently standing at the residence of Dr. Arif, and you can I'll request my camera person to show him the visuals. There's a police team right now just outside his house where Dr. Arif was living. They have come to in fact interrogate the owner of this very particular house, who says that it was only 3 months back Muhammad Arif came to this very particular house. The police is in fact questioning the landlord. They're asking his whereabouts, that what was his behavior till how long was he living in this very particular area, what story did he tell about the family. So these are the kind of interrogation that has in fact started.
Investigators time and again.
Well, while we talk about these cars,
Fluctuating there, and we'll try and get a clearer line with Simar, who's getting us live information as the cops are standing right outside the landlord's house, trying to inquire about Dr. Arif. Now, initial details coming in of how Dr. Arif had moved in only 3 months ago, and he was living at that house where the cops are to pick up Dr. Arif. They're trying to check with the landlord on details, whether there was any suspicion of sorts, whether he was up to any activity that came to the notice of people, and most importantly, Dr. Arif, who will now be brought to Delhi to interrogate him on what his connection was with getting details there of a third car that is now being chased by the police. Shreya, quickly to understand once again before we let you go, latest details coming in. Home Minister Amit Shah is holding a been deployed by the Delhi officials and Home Ministry officials are attending this meeting. Told us. We got the details of the CCTV meeting that had happened last evening at 5:30 p.m. that was chaired by Prime Minister Narendra Modi. Soon after, we are also met Union Home Minister Amit Shah and NSA Ajit Doval, and now this is the latest.
Well, yes, 5 teams of the UP police, the Haryana police and the Delhi police, because right now what we see, Suresha, is an interstate police coordination. These people were largely stationed in Faridabad, but they were moving in several vicinities to acquire the ammonium nitrate that was required, because let's just break down that ammonium nitrate cannot be sold in loose amount in this huge amount. Ideally, if you want to buy in a lesser quantity, anything below 5 kgs, you would need a license that you're a farmer, and that's the reason you need the fertilizers, etc. So clearly there was a middleman who was helping them, but to accumulate 2,900 kilos of ammonium nitrate is a big task. And clearly teams were divided and they were doing it for quite some time, and the fact that they managed to do it discreetly, that is something which is very shocking on the part of the investigators, is why we see that these amount of teams are now being found to also track down the source of these ammonium nitrate, because locally, if so easily we see explosive materials being made available, that becomes a huge concern. So even the ones who help them procure this ammonium nitrate, they need to be brought to task, is why we see those multiple teams being formed, to trace the cars, to trace any members missing in the module, and also to trace back the ones who sold this car. And before I go on anything else, Suesha, I want to establish this location, because for every regular Delhiite, this Connaught Place is something that they pass from. This is the heart of the national capital, and at this very stretch, a short while ago, we were showing that CCTV footage. That same CCTV footage of Umarun Nabi was tracked from this very location.
Personally monitoring each and everything. He went to the hospital also, and then also they're at the spot, and he has been holding series of meetings. Yesterday also he held 2 meetings, first in the morning at around 11 a.m. and then at 3 p.m. And as we are speaking, another big meeting is being chaired by Mr. Amit Shah to take feedback, to take the update on what is the latest status of the investigation which has been carried out by various agencies. You would also remember that NIA has taken over this entire case, and the FIR has already been filed under Explosives and the UAPA Act. Few people have also been detained. Many have been arrested. So this shows as to how the investigative agencies are now putting their best to ensure that proper justice is meted out to the perpetrators. Proper actions are taken in this entire case. We'll have to wait and watch how much time the NIA is now going to take as far as investigating this entire matter is concerned. But as we are speaking, Home Minister Amit Shah is now holding a very important meeting in which top officials from various agencies are present.
All right, Piyush, many thanks for getting us the latest. Yes, Doctors of Terror plot that is unraveling bit by bit. The probe has taken a new turn as agencies are now focusing on how Dr. Shaheen Shahid, once a brilliant medical topper from Uttar Pradesh, came into contact with several Kashmiri students over the last decade. Dr. Shaheen Siddiqui was married to Dr. Jafar Hayat and got divorced in 2015. After this, Shaheen became reclusive and distanced herself from her family. Shaheen played a crucial role in bridging terror operatives and established logistical networks in Haryana and Delhi. She then became the top commander of Jaish-e-Mohammed's women's wing. It was in the same year, 2015, when Dr. Shaheen had contacted Dr. Muzammil, a Pulwama-based doctor who introduced Shaheen to Kashmiri students. After this, Shaheen came in contact with Kashmiri students over the last decade. Now, according to UP-ATS, Shaheen met with several suspects, including those who had visited Ayodhya Ram Temple. Investigative agencies are probing who she met there, where she stayed and who she visited in Ayodhya. Jammu and Kashmir police have been informed by intelligence about her visit to Lucknow. Neighbours of Dr. Shaheen and her brother, Dr. Parvez, are also being questioned again. UP-ATS has also detained Dr. Mohammad Arif, a cardiology student from Jammu and Kashmir, from Kanpur's Cardiology Institute in connection with the Delhi blast case. Arif was reportedly in constant touch with Dr. Shaheen. Another doctor from Kashmir, Dr. Nisar ul Hassan, who was earlier dismissed for anti-national activities, has also gone missing after the Red Fort blast. He was working as a professor of general medicine at the Al Falaha hospital and is said to be the alleged attack plotter. The web of doctors, and most importantly, the white-collar terror ecosystem that is unraveling bit by bit, where doctors were now enrolled by the JEM, and the meeting that had happened in Turkey, after which a full plan was fleshed out to how the network will expand, and Faridabad was chosen as the hub. These doctors, some of them working in Kashmir, and a connection of the Al Falaha University that has most come to fore of how these doctors were coordinating with each other, were slowly building their network, contacting one another. And in fact, it is said that Al Falaha University had slowly turned into a mini Kashmir because of the amount of Kashmiri doctors who had been employed there. Now, while the focus is on the university and the link between these doctors who are residing in Kashmir, and then the Faridabad link, of course, the trace that is being drawn, and more doctors are being picked up. Dr. Arif, who was in touch with Dr. Shaheen, and also Bomber Umar, because he was a classmate of his. Now, he is being picked up. He will be brought to Delhi for interrogation. The other doctor, who remember is now missing, he actually hails from Kashmir. His name is Dr. Nisar ul Hassan, and he was dismissed for anti-national activities, has now gone missing ever since the Red Fort blast has happened. Let me also take this to Shreya to understand that the web of doctors, or the nexus of doctors, and how this entire plot was being planned with the help of doctors, is now slowly unraveling. Of the 7 doctors who have already been identified and many of them detained, more names getting added to it. Dr. Arif and Dr. Hassan. Shreya.
Well, the reason, Suesha, this becomes an extreme matter of concern, because if we can just highlight for our viewers, remember that in 2011 also, when that Delhi High Court blast took place at gate number 5, the case when it unraveled pointed out to one doctor even at that point of time. Now, that was a different module, that was the Indian Mujahideen, but now with the Jaish-e-Mohammed also plotting on white-collar terror people linked to doctors, clearly we see a sort of a return of what we have seen in the past, but this time even more sinister, even more closely knitted, and even more larger in the kind of conspiracy that was being hatched in the first place. Not just that, the reason for a doctor being used, because these are people who also have a lot of respect in our society. So probably people can go unfazed. Terrorists are usually people who moonlight something in the morning, and then their main task is obviously to plot and spread terror. But these doctors were also misusing their identities, their credentials to gather some materials required for making those explosives is also what investigators are telling to India today. The fact that they were terror conspirator facilitators. These are the exact words that one of the senior officials interrogating and investigating this case has told me, that they are terror facilitators, in fact. So clearly, larger investigation will now go into how doctors are being recruited, whether these people are initially self-radicalized, then they move on through different channels, because as we talk, Suesha, it'll be scary to believe, but there are WhatsApp open channels that also operate of the groups like Jaish-e-Mohammed, etc., because that is the kind of security encryption that is not sometimes taken into condition when India is concerned. So clearly, lot of issues that our agencies also have to manage with while they investigate such terror modules, but scary situation on the ground. These are people possibly homegrown. That's the reason it makes even more difficult to trace and arrest them, because the cases also become sensitive when we see such modules are cracked down.
Very rightly pointed out, Shreya, and the suspicion is the least when it comes to doctors, YouTubers, of the kind of targets they are now picking up to be able to carry out such a plot is horrifying. Shreya, thank you for joining us with the very latest. Yes, India's counter-terror machinery that has struck a major blow to terror networks, rattling groups from Jaish-e-Mohammed to the ISIS. Authorities say these modules were planning not just conventional attacks, but also chemical terror plots involving ricin, a deadly, odorless, tasteless toxin with no antidote. Even tiny amounts can be fatal, making it one of the most dangerous substances known to mankind. The 3 arrests of Gujarat highlight both the evolving nature of terror threats in India and the critical role of vigilant intelligence and law enforcement. Should India be prepared for the new age bio-warfare? Take a look at this report.
A successful Operation Sindoor and rattled terror groups. From Jaish-e-Mohammed to ISIS. All deeply troubled by the dismantling of terror modules on Indian soil. While Jaish used Dr. Death and his colleagues to allegedly plan and execute the Red Fort blast, ISIS planned a horrifying chemical terror plot. Just days ago, Gujarat Anti-Terror Squad arrested 3 men, including a doctor with a Chinese medical degree, for allegedly trying to produce a lethal chemical compound called ricin. Meet Ahmed Mohiuddin, the very face of this unique terror plot. This doctor from Hyderabad was exploring ways to weaponize ricin. His alleged plan was to inject the toxin into fruits and vegetables and to poison food items sold in Hindu areas. The police say he allegedly surveyed Asia's largest wholesale fruit and vegetable market in Delhi, the Azadpur Mandi, Ahmedabad's Naroda Fruit Market, and the RSS office in Lucknow. These spots were chosen for their dense crowds and high public activity and were being considered as potential targets.
सैयद जो है वो बेसिकली लगभग 35-36 साल की उम्र का एक व्यक्ति है जिसने चाइना से MBBS किया है। ये काफ़ी पढ़ा लिखा है, काफ़ी रेडिकल मेंटलिटी है इसकी। ये भारत में मोटे प्रमाण में मतलब बड़ी लोगों को नुकसान पहुंचा पाए इस तरह की आतंकवादी घटना को अंजाम देना चाहता था।
It is essentially a protein that can be extracted from the castor bean. It has no smell and taste and is 600 times more dangerous than cyanide. And there's no antidote for it. Needless to say, the ease of producing the poison, coupled with the very low doses needed to kill, make it a challenge for law enforcement. So is ricin the new bioweapon on the block threatening India? Should India be worried? With Manjeet Negi, Bureau Report, India Today.
And in the latest, ricin warfare plotter's brother who has now spoken out. Brother who's called out plotter Mohiuddin innocent. He said that Mohiuddin is innocent and he's been trapped. He said that Mohiuddin was a good doctor. He was loved by all his patients. Mohiuddin's brother who's come to his defense and has spoken up this as Mohiuddin faces the heat as far as planning and plotting the ricin warfare is concerned. The plotter's brother who has now spoken out and he has defended Dr. Mohiuddin saying that he's absolutely innocent. He has been trapped. He was a good doctor. He was loved by all his patients. Now, well, that can certainly be corroborated because those who were related to Mohiuddin or were his acquaintances have spoken that they would reach out to Dr. Mohiuddin for help. But fact also remains that the investigation has revealed that Mohiuddin had also recce'd some of the mandis where the plan was to inject ricin in fruits and vegetables. Remember, ricin is 600 times more toxic than cyanide. It is odorless, it is tasteless. And that is the kind of plan that Dr. Mohiuddin was working on. But first, listen in to what his brother has said.
In the alleged ricin case that is currently ongoing, one of the suspects is, we're talking with the brother. In fact, what he says, the entire family stands by him, saying that Mohiuddin is in fact innocent. Let's talk to his brother as well. भाई साहब, आप लोग आपको ये जो न्यूज़ मिला था वो कब मिला था?
ये हमको सैटरडे के दिन 10:45 पे जब मैं स्कूल में मैं पढ़ रहा था तो उस वक्त मुझे ये न्यूज़ मिली कि आपके भाई हमारे रिमांड में हैं, हमको ATS कंट्रोल रूम से बात कर रहे हैं, आप बात करना चाहेंगे क्या? तो मैं समझा ये डिजिटल फ्रॉड कॉल्स है, तो मैं कंफर्मेशन के लिए उनसे कहा कि हाँ बिल्कुल बात करूँगा। तो वो भाई से बात करवाए, भाई से बात हुई, फिर कंफर्म हो गया कि ये ATS कंट्रोल रूम से बात हो रही है। भाई ने कहा कि मुझे जो है यहाँ पर बिज़नेस डील के लिए बुलाया गया, बुलाकर यहाँ पर पेमेंट के टाइम पे एक बैग लेकर के आए, वो आकर कार में रख दिए। मैं पूछा उनसे पेमेंट कहाँ पर है, तो बोले बैग में है। मैं देखा तो उसमें पैक्स बने हुए थे पूरे। मतलब पेमेंट कहाँ है, तो वो बोले इसके अंदर आपका पेमेंट जो बताया आप उसके अंदर है। तो भाई जो है कार लेकर के आगे गए। कुछ दूर जाने के बाद वो ATS कंट्रोल टीम की फोर्स आई और मुझे रोककर चेकिंग किए। चेकिंग करने पर वो बैग में पैक्स ओपन करके जब देखे तो उस वक्त में भाई को और पुलिस को उसी समय पता चला कि यहाँ पर गन्स एंड बुलेट्स
CCTV clinchers on India today. The bombing continues to be our top focus story. The explosion, the investigations is what we're keeping our eyes firmly on. I'm Sneha Modani. You've tuned in to India Today. This is Lunch Break. Let's begin with the headlines at this hour. Bomber Umar spotted outside a mosque in Delhi hours before the blast, seen entering the mosque at around 2:30 p.m. Another terror car emerges after the Hyundai i20 that was detonated near Red Fort and the Ford EcoSport that was used to store and transport the explosives lands now on a Maruti Brezza car that cops suspect was meant to be a getaway vehicle for the terrorists. Dr. Shaheen's role in terror under scanner. Shaheen built contacts with Kashmiri students, facilitated logistical networks in Delhi and in Haryana. Was the Delhi blast a revenge act for Babri?